Serious parents of Reddit, what's something your kids do without realizing it hurts your feelings? My 12-year-old son basically ignores me as much as he can. It's puberty and it's all normal, but a year ago I was still his favorite person and now it's all about his friends, girls, and video games. And I'm the uncoolest person on the planet apparently. I made him go for a walk with me and the dog the other day, just to try to have some conversation, and he said, "Why do you make me do things that make me unhappy?" To which I responded, "Spending time with me makes you unhappy." And he said yes. I told him he could turn around and go back home and he did. I cried the whole way to the dog park. My almost 3-year-old twins often tell me I'm not invited to their birthday party. My 5-year-old daughter said she wanted a new mommy because I don't have a pretty face. She didn't realize it would be hurtful, I guess. I don't know if these happen all over the country, but in the South they have these father/daughter dances in elementary school. I always thought they were ridiculous and a little creepy, so I had zero interest in ever going to one, but I have daughters, so I knew there was a chance I would end up at one of these abominations at some point. I never made my opinion known to my girls, just something I would gripe to my wife about from time to time. My oldest daughter came home one day with a flyer for the daddy-daughter dance, and she was pumped to go. I thought to myself, great, here we go, but I sucked it up and pretended to be just as enthused as she was to go. I was dreading it, but honestly I would endure much worse to see my girls happy. A couple of days before the dance my daughter asked my wife to take her to get a nice dress and shoes. My wife told me later that I really need to take this seriously because it was all she had been talking about for a week. I figured I would go along with it, and if she was going to look great, damn it, so was I. So I went out and bought myself a nice outfit for the affair, complete with shoes and everything. I rarely buy myself anything, so I just knew the gesture of her seeing me wearing new clothes would give her a big kick on the day if I hid my clothes, so they would be a surprise. The more excited she got, the more I looked forward to it. Maybe I had judged the dance too harshly, and it's nice to go out and have fun with your daughter. It started to dawn on me that maybe we don't do enough together, and it made me feel I really need to spend more time bonding with her. I felt like maybe I was kind of a dad and this dance would be the beginning of turning over a new leaf. I found myself actually excited for this goddamn dance. I couldn't believe it. The day if I rush home and get all ready, and then I come out and she's dressed super nice and she's beaming when she sees my new outfit. Mom took a bunch of pictures and we were all set for a great time. We arrived at the dance and I'm looking at all the other dads in jeans and t-shirts and I'm thinking, my kid must be so proud of her dad. We go into the gym where music was playing and everyone was congregating. I give my daughter a giant hug and say I'm so happy we came. She says to me, "Oh hey, that's my friend over there, I'm going to say hi." My daughter never came back the rest of the dance. I stood there on the wall watching every other dad in jeans and a t-shirt dance with their daughters and mine never did. She didn't say a word to me, just hung out with her friends. When her friends went to dance with their dads, she just hung out with whoever wasn't at the time. I stood there in my outfit listening to song after song, embarrassed and sad. The longer the dance went on and the more songs meant to be about dads and their daughters, the sadder I got. To the point at the end I was fighting back tears. I had stood in the same place for 2 hours because I didn't want to move in case she came looking for me, but she never did. At the end of the night she told me about how much fun she had with her friends. I tried my best to act like I had fun too. She was completely oblivious as to me being a wallflower the whole night, sad I was forgotten. When I got home I went to my room and locked the door and cried. She had no idea she was hurting me that night, and I kept it that way. It's not the best memory. When I drop them off at a party or day camp and I go to say bye, they've already gone off with friends. Kids are getting older now, so it's not cool to kiss or hug dad goodbye, but man it stings, and I sure don't want to embarrass them, so I just sadly walk to my car. I'm divorced with split custody. My ex has a large extended family that lives nearby, and they are always together letting the little cousins all play together. My family is the exact opposite, live hours away and nobody young to have playdates with. So, weekly my 5-year-old cries when it's time to go to my house because it's not as fun as dad's. I'm on a budget and can't afford to take her out every week to the zoo or movies. Every single dollar is budgeted. It makes me cry often when I see how excited she is to go to his house because mine is boring. I just want her to know that I'm trying. Last year my wife spent the whole summer making it as great as she could for our then 6-year-old. Holidays, theme parks, everything she could. They did loads together. Got a phone call at work from wife crying/furious. At the end of it going back to school, she'd asked what she had enjoyed most. The day trip to London. Only problem was that was with me at Easter. Still it was an absolutely awesome day. I'm a very old dude who usually lurks Reddit. I made an account to comment on this post. I wish I could say I had a lot of influence in the raising of my girls, but that wasn't the way that things turned out. I did a lot of dumb, as did my ex-wife. She was in prison for a stint, and I was in and out of prison throughout my daughters' lives. My younger 2 daughters were raised by my ex's dad, while my oldest daughter was raised by my dad. Their lives were polar opposites, that is for sure. My ex's family came from money, our family had money, and lost it all. We lived in about as much damn poverty as is possible. Rock bottom. Didn't help I wasn't around to contribute much. I wasn't allowed to see my 2 younger girls much. Their grandpa hated my guts. I understood that. I did not understand the way they treated my dad. He was the most hardworking and honest man I ever knew. If something was broke, he was over there at your house with tools to fix it without even needing to ask. Never was late to anything in his life. I remember we had all the girls over once for 4th of July. We were grilling up some burgers on a brand new grill. Spent more than we should have on this, but we didn't see them all together very often. A lot of whining on my 2 younger girls' part. They'd rather go to McDonald's. We had Mr. Pibb instead of Dr. Pepper, and so on. But what got me was when one of my younger daughters said, "We want to go home, your house is dirty," and oldest daughter doesn't have any good toys. I'm damn glad my dad was almost deaf at that point, because hearing that would have broken his heart. My oldest daughter did hear though. She was about 8 at this time. I'll never forget the look on her face. There weren't any tears or embarrassment. She just looked blank, staring off into space. There were other stories and moments like those. Too long to write. Eventually my 2 younger daughters changed their last name from mine to their grandpa's. They stopped accepting contact from my dad and me. Presents for birthdays and Christmas were returned. The feel-good part of the story comes from my oldest. She's an adult now. I knew when she was little that her other grandpa and sisters were bribing her with toys and with their nice house. She would come home and tell my dad or me if I was around. The response I had at that time was, "Is that so?" No more, no less. I did get up the courage to ask her why she stayed with dad instead of going to live with her sisters when she was older. She said to me, "I felt like Papa had nothing else to live for. I wanted to stay because I knew he loved me and needed me around. I loved him too. He was always trying his hardest up until the day he died." I knew even back then that was more honest than people who gave me new toys and would ask me if I would rather live with them. I feel like I have to point out that my dad lost all his money because he spent hundreds of thousands trying to save my mom. Diabetic coma. I was in prison at the time and they wouldn't let me out to say goodbye. He spent all the money we had and sold the lake house trying to keep her alive. After she passed, he was a shell of man. The only time I did see him even remotely smile after that was when he was looking after my oldest. So what she said hit me deep, let me tell you. She is my pride and joy. I wish I could have given her more, but I know my dad made up for it, even though there wasn't much to give. She appreciated everything even as a kid. She's smart as a whip, got a full ride scholarship, taught me how to use the internet and type on the keyboard. She was hit by my dad's death hard. Harder than me maybe. But she is strong. Pretty. Even though I let her down, she's always been there for me. Through my heart disease, my damn broken hip, I lost my balance and hit my head pretty hard a few years ago, and she flew out here to take care of me. A lot of hell in our lives, but she beat all the odds. My other daughters, well, they would like to pretend I'm not their dad. I know I will get pissed on for saying so, but the feeling is mutual. I feel like given every opportunity they have managed to squander and waste it. They are entitled brats. The way they treated my daughter, my dad. I know my oldest was trying to get close to them. Hit the fan when they came asking what they got out of my dad's will after he died. He had nothing but the house we lived in and the clothes on his back. Gave every damn dime to raise my oldest. They returned every present and letter he ever sent them, and they come asking for handouts. I've never seen my oldest daughter snap until that moment. Guess she managed to get my temper after all. I know I didn't have much influence in any of my kids' lives. Maybe I have no right to be proud. So I thank my dad who sacrificed everything for my daughter. Thank you for raising her to be a damned good woman. Also thanks to anyone who wasted the time to read this old guy's ramblings.